Well, I guess this is the start of kind of like a virtual autobiography. I don't know what you really want to call it or what you could call it, but I guess let's just start off with the basics. My name is Justin. Um, you can also refer to me as Justifer. That is also my name. Um, I am a 27-year-old man. I live in Sherman, Texas. I originate from Los Angeles, California. Um, I come from a semi-wealthy family. Um, I've been stuck in Texas for too long. Anyways, like, I guess you could start off. I was always that, like, really adventurous kid, you know. I always smiled and laughed and wanted to go out on adventures and hang out with my family back then. I had a friend named JJ. We used to hang out all the time, and we played with like Transformers and watched Beast Wars and rode our bikes everywhere, you know, stuff like that. And you know, over time, we kind of quit being in contact. Like I haven't even spoke to JJ in like 5 years. Um, we used to explore. Like Pokemon came out. That was like the big thing back then. Like everybody likes Pokemon now, but if you weren't there in 1998, you don't understand it and you can't appreciate it for what it really was back then. Like the trading cards, the anime, the fucking red and blue and gold and silver games. Fucking cool. Um, just I remember like I was in school and I didn't really have like a lot of friends. Um, I was kind of like a shy kid. I guess you could say I was always worried about what people would say and think, and I remember I was always like a devious little fucker too. I remember when I was younger, I used to try to do scams. Like I used to scam people for money because I liked that Ed and Eddie, and I was like, you know, hey, let's try this. It'd be fun. I used to make card keys. I remember that, and I sold them at school, and I made like $8. Now I know that's not a lot, but I sold them for like 25 cents, and they were just keys I made out of cardboard, and people bought them because they thought they were cool. Um, I remember I had an idea. I think this is back in fifth grade. I had an idea about making a weather report for the week. Like I would just copy what I saw on the Weather Channel. I was at my grandma's house. I remember that. And instead, I drew this comic book character called Snap. It was a snake named Snap. And he was all goofy looking. And I haven't drawn, you know, these stupid comics in a long time. But I remember I drew them all throughout my school years. I never actually paid attention to school. I made good grades. Like I made really fucking good grades, but I didn't care. I didn't care about the education. I was just more concerned drawing these fucking cartoon snakes, creating stories and stuff. Um, I didn't really hang out with anybody in school. I did have two really good friends named Joe and Alex. They were like my only friends I had. Like I don't know who I am now is like completely not who I was when I was in school, so it's a lot different. Used to hang out, go adventures. They were bad kids, and they influenced me pretty fucking in like the negative way. I dated this girl named Whitney. That'll be for a different story. We'll get onto her subject in a different video. Um, it just over time, like all these people, it just changed who I was, my outlooks on life. I grew up, I became different. I used to be really adventurous. I remember it was in I think eighth grade. I took this test to like see where like position for a job you should have in the future, and it said I scored best for being a director, and I was like, I never thought about that. That'd be awesome. Or airline attendant. That was the other one. But I was like, huh, film director. That's fucking cool. Let me do that. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I wanted to make movies and stuff. And I actually got to do that when I turned 18. And I got kicked out of my mom's house. I went to jail for aggravated assault. Not really. But yeah, so I got wrongfully imprisoned. Or in jail, I should say, you know. I ended up moving in with my friend Derek at the time. We became like super best friends. And we were really poor. We lived in this shitty little house without a back door. It was in the middle of winter and it was ice cold outside. And we didn't have any source of heat. So I had to sleep in his room on this little cot. And I had a little thin sheet as a blanket. And I remember what we did. I didn't have a job yet. I was 18. I never worked before. But I remember we had a video camera, and we used to make these little stupid clips and movies and shit, and it passed time. This is back when cell phones weren't popular. You know, this is when I was 18. This is like 2009. People had cell phones, yeah, but they weren't like, you gotta get the iPhone 10. You know, they weren't shit like that. So we made these little movies and stuff, and it was fun. We called it Bleeding Rose Productions, based off of something Derek had created as a project, I think, in 2005. And I went with it. We came up with code names. We made skits. It was fun. Uploaded it on MySpace. Actually had a little following, a little fan base. It was pretty cool. And I took inspiration from Smosh and FND Films, which more likely you don't know who that is now. It was back on old school YouTube. I dated this girl named Hope, and that was like one of the major impacts on my life right there. That adjusted who I became, who I was, and changed my life forever. But again, she deserves her own video because my God, that bitch. I call her the world breaker. Like, I don't know how else to describe what she is. Um, I used to be very optimistic and happy and stuff like that, and then some things happened in my life. I got a job. I made some bad friends. I was so full of myself. I started getting really cocky and really arrogant, and I got really addicted, like super really addicted to World of Warcraft, and that ultimately led to me and Hope breaking up, among some other stuff, and that put me in a very bad place. Like, I could never fill the shoes, you know? I could never find somebody who could match up to what I felt when I had her. So it was just constantly me dating these random fucking bimbos or random fucking bitches or random girls, just in general, all categories. And it, like, these relationships lasted like maybe a couple of weeks to a couple months. I even dated an escort. Dated her for 3 months, and I had a lot of fun with her. She had a lot of money and stuff, you know. I didn't care about the money. I liked her. I thought she was really cool. She was really big on video games, and she was nerdy, but you know, she's kind of crazy too. So there's that. Um, I just couldn't figure it out, man. I thought something was wrong with me for the longest time. I got really super depressed. I did try to commit suicide, but that's for another video. Um, I actually moved back in with my dad, and I hated my dad, so that's actually a big deal. I got really bummed. I quit my job. I lost my home. You know, just deep depression. Just deep, deep depression. Even lost my bird. I had a bird. And just slowly out over time, I was slowly picking up the pieces, and then I got myself a job, worked my ass off for like bullshit, got paid bullshit, which is, you know, whatever, it's a job's a job. I got treated like shit at this job, and I stuck with it for 2 years, and I don't know how I did that, but I did. Put up with so much goddamn bullshit, and it actually resulted in one of the major things in my life that affected who I am. I got injured, like really bad. This guy lost his shit with me, and we had like no problems prior, but he lost his shit, and he assaulted me from behind, and I had to go get facial reconstruction surgery and fix the whole right side of my face. It was not fun. It really helped me figure out who my friends were, who really cared, because nobody called to check on me when I was in the hospital. Nobody, nobody visited me. My mom was there for a couple days, but that was it. That was it. Nobody checked to see if I was fine. Nobody posted on Facebook. And I immediately, whenever I got out, I was like unable to work for like 3 weeks, I think it was. And my job actually fired me because of it. Um, bullshit. I actually did date quite possibly the best girlfriend I've ever had, and I was not deserving of her at all. Her name is Chance. I'll make a video on her some other day. She's notorious. I make fun of her all the time because she's dumb. Like, I loved her to death, but she was dumb. Chance had no common sense. She was annoying, but she was a very caring person. She busted her ass for me and my family. She did a whole lot for me, and I didn't deserve any of that. And I was so bad to her. I was so mean to her. And all we did was fight constantly and stuff, and I would blame her for things that I shouldn't have blamed her for. And I felt bad for the girl because she put up with me for 3 years doing that to her. And I don't think I've ever felt like such a bad guy in my life, but I was a bad guy during that time. And yeah, but she's doing okay now. She's kicking ass, and I'm very proud of her. Um, just dated a whole slew of bad people, moving on, got a new job. I was working at a place called the Fish Fry for like 2 years. I was a dishwasher. I made bullshit pay. I only worked weekends pretty much because my boss was so cheap. But it was okay. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working weekends. I was a hard worker. Everybody really liked me there, except for the people I made fun of. I worked I got like $88 a week, so my tax return was like garbage. It was fucking garbage. I started picking up my hobby of making videos again after like a shit, bro. It was like 7 years hiatus. It was like last year I got my camera and I was like, hey, let's make videos again. And I started doing it, and it's been really fun. This is kind of like my go-to hobby I have now. I think that was actually part of my problem for the longest time of being depressed and shit because I didn't have a hobby, and this is the hobby for me. I enjoy making content videos. It doesn't have to get views or get me subscribers or anything like that. It's just something for me to do, and I really enjoy it for what it is. I don't care if I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I have thousands of views or millions of views. I don't care if I make no money off of this. I don't care if I'm like, oh God, I got all these subscribers. Now, if I get that, hey, that's awesome, but it's not something I truly care about. It's more of like I like enjoying doing stuff like this. I like talking about this kind of stuff because this isn't really something I get to ever talk about. So it's nice, getting to vent to a camera, to an audience, if you even watch. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so I was working at the Fish Fry, and one day as a joke, I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go apply at Pizza Hut just to be funny. I didn't apply. I actually tricked my way into getting an interview, being a sneaky bastard. I got into my interview, and it turns out they really liked me. His name was Jimmy, was the area manager. I thought he was the actual GM, but he really liked me. So he did a background check on me somehow, and I passed somehow. Not that I'm bad, I just didn't apply, so I don't know what the fuck. But I actually got the job the very next day, and then I had 2 jobs for about, I think, 4 months, and they offered me an assistant manager position, so I was like, fuck yeah. So I took it, and then I got promoted again to senior assistant in like 2 weeks. I was like, fuck yeah. And then they offered me my own restaurant, and I was like, oh shit. Okay. I took it, and I started working in Van Alstyne, Texas. And I took over my very own store, and then I got to experience what salary pay was. And oh my God, it was awesome. Like, the hours sucked ass. I hated that. Like, they worked me too much. But the money was great. Like, I made like $600 a week on salary. Now, I know that's not a lot, but for somebody like me who lives the way I do, that is more than I need. Like, I can survive off $400 a month. This was like $600 a week. I didn't know what to do, so I was just blowing my money on like the most unnecessary bullshit. I was buying like McDonald's hamburgers every day, and yeah, it got really fucking out of hand. I was just like bragging about my money, and then some things happened. It turns out my grandfather committed suicide in California last year, so I was actually dating my friend's ex-wife, which I feel like an asshole for that. We're okay, but that's for its own video. I guess I'll do this in the arcs. But so me, her, my brother, and my best friend Singleton, which he deserves his own video. Holy shit, this guy is A fucking cartoon character. I can make like hundreds of videos on him because he's got so many stories. But Ken will say that for later. um, anyways, my grandfather committed suicide, so I actually took a vacation to go out and visit my family out there because my grandma wasn't holding up well. We got out there, some things happened, a lot of things happened, and I just decided I didn't want to return to work. I don't know what I was thinking or why I would do that, but I decided it wasn't worth it, so I didn't go back to work. And I was just going to let the apartment just rot away until they evicted me because I was like really depressed again, a lot of things. I lost a lot of stuff in the course of a week. I shouldn't have quit my job, but whatever. Well, after about a week of being back in Texas, my old boss actually called me to say, "Hey, are you back in Texas?" And I said, "Yes, I am." So he arranged a meeting with me to come meet him in Sherman, Texas. So I went, and he didn't fire me. Well, I mean, I know I said I quit, but I figured he would have did the paperwork for it, but he didn't. Instead, he actually offered me a job. And I was, okay, no, take it. If you don't know who Jimmy was, Jimmy's not that kind of person. If you say you quit, you don't give two fucks. He's like, all right, whatever, you're replaced anyways. He's got that kind of mentality. But it really uplifted my spirits, like, dramatically. Now, this isn't like how I am. I don't get optimistic. I don't get hopeful anymore. But he offered me another job as an area guy. And I was like, okay. So I would be bouncing around from store to store, kind of like a freelancer, making up my own hours, volunteering to help out who's going to be willing to pay me for that day, And I made okay money. It wasn't as good as the GM position, but I got to, if I wanted to work 30 hours, I could work 30 hours, If I wanted all this overtime, I could get all the overtime. It just depended on how I was wanting to work, which was great. And then I ended up getting stuck in Denison, Texas. Their store was like in really bad shape, and it was a really high grossing volume store compared to the one that I used to work at. And then the GM actually quit, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew I was going to get stuck with it, and I did. I ended up taking over the store. I'm still there. Made a lot of good changes. I replaced a lot of bad people. Can't fight the negative customers, but I'm trying. I'm trying really hard, but they're so awful. The town. But the store opened up way more opportunities for me. Like, what I was making in Van Alstyne, I make about 70% more, or 70, yeah, my paycheck's are like 70% higher working, I guess you could say, in Denison opposed to Van Alstyne. I make a lot more money now than I did. Like $600, it's like $900 a week. People say you can't make a good job out of food. Yeah, right. I have like, I got this job pretty much applying as a joke for this company, as just a haha, like, I'll just say I applied. Here I am doing this, and I'm making all this money. I don't know what to do. Like, I literally bought the iPhone X just out of boredom because I had the money for it. I bought the fucking $400 Apple Watch just because I had money for it. I was like, why not? Not trying to sound like a dick, just plumping out like, oh, I got all this money. I don't know what to do. So I do save a lot of my money. I do have a savings account for it. Yeah, just I have been a negative person for a very long time, and I decided I don't want to be that anymore. I want to grow up. I'm not 19 anymore. I am a 27-year-old man. I do not want to be 30 years old, still looking back at old memories of being 18 and, whining and being upset about what happened or what should have been or what could have been. But instead make what is now what you need to have to succeed. You know what I mean? Does it make sense? I don't know. It's also 4 a.m. and I'm very tired, so we'll just go with that. God, I don't even know what to go with this here. I have a lot of amazing things have happened in my life. A lot of horrible things have happened in my life. Things that are worthy of their own story, their own video. It's my channel. I'll do whatever I want, you know? Oh my god, it's mind-boggling, you know? That you can change so much in just a couple years. Like, I know everybody's like, yeah, duh, but you gotta really think about that. Because you're constantly evolving, you're constantly changing who you are, and we take that for granted. Like, we don't think about it thoroughly, you know? But it's the truth. Like, I'm just looking back on some of my older pictures of me, like when I was 19. I had the fucking emo black hair, had eyeliner, I had my little lip ring, no facial hair, and I looked like somebody who was joining the Black Parade call for My Chemical Romance. Now I got this shit going on right now, and I don't talk the same way I did. I'm still very arrogant and full of myself and shit, but like I'm not like stupid about it, you know? Like I'm self-aware. I know where I stand. I know where I'm at in the world. I wasn't like that when I was 18 and 19. I was full of myself thinking I was like borderline a god. I had all these, you know, quote unquote friends and shit, and all these people doing horrible things to me. And I'd just be like, I'm smarter than you, so I can corner you into a hole, you know, just shit like that. Um, Anyways, I'm sorry about rambling on. It's just, I think this is very nice. I get to make this kind of video, whether you see it or not. Maybe I can come back in 5 years and like rewatch this, and I'll be somebody different. And I could be like, God, that's where I was when I was 27. But I have a lot of stories, a lot of things that happened to me, and I would like to make a video on each one of them. In case, you know, I ever lose my memory, I'd like to look back and be like, God, that happened. And my God, a lot of this shit is amazing. So, anyways, thank you for watching. My name is Justin. If you liked it, if you liked getting to know me a little bit, I guess just stick around and we can hang out on YouTube.